Hope you're able to hear me right. Just wait, let me attach this mic. So in the last class, we were talking about the SOAP-based web services. Just a minute. We were talking about SOAP-based web services. So we saw how to develop a SOAP-based web service using access to with the help of Eclipse IDE. Today, let's move on. Just a minute. Okay. So let me deploy this service which you developed in the last class. I was showing you people that WSDL document for this service. Let's try to understand that WSDL document. Okay. Yes. Fine. So we have services here. If you click on services, now you should be able to see that service which you have developed, that is currency converter. Click on this, you'll get the WSDL document. So this is a WSDL document which you got here. You know, let's try to read this WSDL document. So from which element we are supposed to start reading this WSDL document? Yes. From which element we are supposed to read that WSDL document? From the ports, port type. Yeah, port type, not types. Port type, I can say. So in the port type, you'll have the operation details. Operation means the methods. Operations means methods, I can say. Okay. Yes. Now, as of now, we have one operation. That means one method in that web service. That is dollar to rupee. What exactly this input message represents here? What do people think? What exactly input message represents here? Input message represents the input parameter which we need to pass to the method. That parameter, that input value which we need to pass to that method. So that is nothing but your input parameter. So sorry, that input message represents that input parameter. Input message represents input parameter. So output message represents output parameter. Output message represents output parameter, output value, I can say. That means what value that method returns. Basically, what value that method returns. Now, you'll find that this messages, input and output messages, will be configuring them here. The message names you see dollar to rupee request, dollar to rupee response. So basically, that messages will be registered. You're going to define those messages here. We'll be defining those messages here. Yes. Okay. Now, here you see. Now, actually, that input message is what type. The output message is what type. So from where we are going to get those details? Input message is what type and output message is what type. From where we are going to get those details? Yes. Yes, types. Okay, types will give you this details. So in the types we have those details. You see, now in the when we configure the message element, you see in the message you have this element. In the message element you'll find that we have this element details. Dollar to rupee. It refers to that XML element where that type details are mentioned. You see, dollar to rupee is an element. It refers to that XML element which is configured in the types. You see, element name dollar to rupee. Complex type element, it is a complex type element, and we got a sub element called as number of dollars, and it is of type integer. Now I have, yes, all of you, I want you people to give me Java definition or Java class for this element dollar to rupee. Can you people give me the Java class for that dollar to rupee? Yes, please do that. It's essential. Okay. Can you? Yes, please, all of you try this. So it will help you people to understand how to consume the web service. Try this, all of you. Yes, it's not a big deal for you people. You should be able to easily do that. Yes. Sorry. Yes. So I will write it down here. It's very important. Yes. Just a minute. So dollar to rupee, right? Yes. This is a class, and we have. You see, when I say complex type, yes, it is nothing but a class in Java. Okay. So, and in that class, I can say we got this field now. Sub element is a variable in that class or property in that class. Number of dollars. It is of type integer. That's it. Right. Good. So that is the input message which is passed on to that operation. Now, see, similarly got output message. Dollar to rupee response is output message. So again, you see, it refers to an XML element. Dollar to rupee response. You see this dollar to rupee response here. Uh, Again, it's a complex type element similar to your dollar to rupee. It has got a sub element called as return, and it is of type float. So, that output message is this type dollar to rupee response float. That variable name is return. That's it. So this is the output message. This is the output message. Yes. Okay. But you know, when we have defined that method, let's check that original method which you got here. But the input type is not that complex type, right? That class type. Okay, you got the point here. So, but they are simple types. They are not class types, complex types here. You got the point? Yes. Why, when it comes to web services, why they have been changed to complex type here? Any idea? You know, you will find that the primitive types which you got here, which you're using for these methods, generally they're only valid for they're only valid for the Java, right? So when it comes to other languages, they may not understand these types, right? So they should be portable, or I can say they should be language independent. So that data representations always to make sure that they are, independent of any language or platform. So that's the reason why they are represented in XML that way. They're represented in XML that way. Okay, just to make sure that they are portable, interoperable, I can say. More importantly, interoperable. So the types will be converted to this in Java, in web services, I can say accordingly. Okay. Yes. So hope you people got it. Yes. Now, um, what are the other details which you got here? Let's see. Port type we understood. You see, we'll find binding elements here. Binding. What is binding? We were talking about it in the last class also. What is this binding here? Binding. Yes. So the protocol. As I told you people, SOAP messages, they should be bound to which protocol. So such details you'll find them. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm talking about bindings here. So binding means it represents, you know, like the SOAP, especially, SOAP messages, they should be carried by your the other protocols, right? They should be carried by other protocols. So that binding details. So here it indicates like SOAP messages are bound to which protocol. So in this case, it is HTTP. Okay. So actually, we will find three binding elements, but ignore the other two. Okay. So generally, the tool it generates them, but we want that SOAP 1.2 binding. SOAP 1.2 binding means SOAP 1.2. SOAP 1.2, I can say. SOAP 1.2 binding means it is actually SOAP 1.2. Yes. So here SOAP 1.2 version. 1.2 is version. SOAP 1.2 is 1.2. Now let's open this visual once. You'll find the transport details here. Transport is just HTTP. The operation details and all you have it here. Now I want you people to check this style, document style. I want you people to check this document style. Okay. Yes. Okay. Next, I want people to check that document styles. Okay, I'll leave it to you people. Next, we got service element here. So service element, you will find that again you have to go for the SOAP one to endpoint. So what is endpoint? What do we mean by endpoint here? Yes, endpoint means, yes, endpoint means I can say that it is actually the point of access. The clients, you know, they will be communicating with the service through this endpoint itself. So we have the details about that endpoint here. You see the address, it actually refers to that server or this application name. Okay, the point of access endpoint means, yes. Okay, so this way you see you every detail, you see including the location, address of that service, everything is there. Okay, yeah, yes. So once again I'll quickly review this. You see we have port type here. Yes, we've missed it. Yes, Yogesh. So port type indicates it has got the details about the operations which you'll see in the web service. What are all the operations you have? So input message represents that input value which we need to pass to the operation. That means input parameter I can say. Next, we have output which represents what value it returns. What value it returns. Next, you got dollar to rupee response here. You see which is basically an output message. It refers to the output message which you got here in the operation. You see dollar to rupee response. So we'll be configuring them here. So input message, dollar to rupee request. And you see this type details, so like what type of data, that operation takes, that message represents what type of data. The type details, you have them here. Element dollar to rupee, that is the input message. Number of dollars, it's a sub element of it. It's a complex type element, you see. Similarly, dollar to rupee response, which is an output message which represents that output message, the definition, what type it is. So you have all these details. So is it clear for you people, all of you? Okay, so let's move on. Here, now we know that like we have a web service. Now you see this web service, it is configured using a services.xml file here. You'll find it in the services folder of your webinf. You see you have this service implementation class, the dot class file, the services.class file here in the meta folder, and you have this class name, service class name, which is configured here. Okay, yes. Next thing, what are this message receivers? Let's see. We'll try to understand it later. Okay, those are the default configurations. Now we have this web service, right? So how do we consume this web service? What are we supposed to do now? Now you should have a look at this diagram which we saw in the last class, and also try to recollect the points which we discussed in the last class, and tell me, how do I access the web service? What am I supposed to do to or consume that web service, I can say. Yes. So what are we supposed to do? So yes, So come on, yeah. By looking at this diagram, can't you tell me, or can't you tell me what we are supposed to do? First of all, we need a proxy, a client application where we'll have a proxy, which in turn, you know, create, will take care of generating the SOAP request, SOAP responses, sorry, handling the SOAP requests, right? Yeah, we'll do that. Yes. So we need a proxy on the client side. If you want to access that application, we need a proxy. And yes, we can create a proxy with the help of WSDL. You know, that WSDL document is mainly used for creating the proxy, I can say. The WSDL document is mainly used for creating the proxy, I can say. Okay. Yes. So let's make use of this WSDL now. So we are going to use this WSDL to create the proxy. So to create that proxy, let's create a client application, I can say. You know what? So I'm going to create a Java-based client itself because I'm only familiar with Java. So if you're familiar with some other, you know, what is it, other programming language, you can try that. So first of all, make sure that you copy this URL, okay? And next, we'll create a dynamic web project. You see, I'm creating a client project here. So I'll select dynamic web project. Please make a note of it, creating client project for access to. Okay, using access to. Okay, so here now you can just specify the project name. Let's say sample access to client. Okay, and make sure that the dynamic web module version is 2.5, and simply click on finish. That's it. Okay, click on finish. Now here we'll generate a client. Okay, so you see that proxy, that stub will be generated. We call it as a stub or proxy. So we need a proxy or stub which helps us to interact with that web service. Okay, let's create that stub or proxy. So for that, So I'll select this source folder, right click on it. All of you, please make a note of it. Creating a stub or proxy, to interact or to consume that web service. Creating, or I can say generating a proxy or stub to interact with the web service or to consume web service, I can say. Okay, so now select the source folder, right click on it in the client project itself. Okay, in the client project, select the source folder, right click on it. You'll find a new, go to others. Under the new we have others, right? Go to others. So under the others, you see we got web services. Under the others, we have web services. Under the web services, we have web service client option here. Under the web services, we have web service client option. Yes. Okay. Yes. Now I'll select this web service client option and click on next. Click on next. Once you click on next, you see you'll get this wizard. Now here we have to paste that WSDL document link. See that service definition text field is there now. In that text field, paste that WSDL document link. Paste that WSDL document link. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now after pasting that link, you see it says client type is Java proxy. We want to create a Java proxy. So that is what we'll try to do. Okay. Now you can click on next. Just wait for a while. Now you see we have this port name. The service name is currency converter. Okay, that's standard. Now you see data binding. Port name use currency converter HTTP SOAP 1 to endpoint. SOAP 1 to endpoint. SOAP 1 to endpoint means so we want to use HTTP and SOAP 1.2 protocol. Okay, SOAP 1.2 version of protocol. That's it. Data binding means any idea? I guess you heard this term data binding. Come on. Data binding means data binding means data binding means data binding means I can say that it refers to that Java to XML and XML to Java bindings, Java objects to XML, and XML to Java objects. I can say is JAXP is a data binding API. You know that, which helps us to convert Java objects to XML format and vice versa. And what are the other two frameworks I've mentioned? We have couple of frameworks which I've mentioned earlier, right? Yes. What are they? Yes. Castor XML and XML beans. XML beans. Please remember. Yes. So you know what? When it comes to access to it supports ADB and XML beans. What is ADB? This is another data binding framework, but it is specific to this access to framework. So ADB stands for access to data binding, access to data binding. You see here in web services, of course, you will find that here, especially in SOAP-based web services, you need this data binding framework because you see SOAP messages have to be transformed into Java objects and vice versa. For that, the access to framework, it uses its own framework called as ADB, data binding framework, access to data binding framework. Okay, yes, fine. Now you see that custom package name, that means now that stub or the proxy which we're creating, it should be added to which package. Those are the package details. And other things I can leave it now. Okay, I'll click on finish straight away. Yes, click on finish. So now let's say in this source folder you'll find a package with the name com.converter. This is client application. You see what you're looking at is a client application. Okay, yes. You see here, you'll find that we have this currency converter stub. So this is your stub class or proxy class, I can say, which is generated. This is a stub or proxy class which is generated. You see, if you scroll down, see the number of lines of code which you got here is 13, almost 1300 lines of code is there, 12 to 1300. So what exactly you'll have in this stub class? What will be the functionalities which will be defined here in the proxy stub? What do you people think? Yes. So what functionalities you have? The proxy, what it does, all that functionalities of proxy are defined here. So proxy will be responsible for taking the client's calls, application client calls. It will take it. It will construct SOAP requests, wrap them in HTTP request, and it will connect to the server service, web service. It will send this request to service. When it gets the response from the service, which is in the form of SOAP, it will transform that SOAP response, that XML response, into appropriate client application type. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Hope you people got it. Yes. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. So yes, so you see, we got this stub now. Let's use this stub to interact with the service. A standard term which is used is consume the service. Let's consume the service. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I'll create that stub object, currency converter stub. So I'll instantiate this class. You see, it throws a checked exception actually. Now in this proxy, you'll find that in the proxy, you'll find that you'll have methods which represents the operations which are defined in that web service. As of now, in that web service, we have one operation. As of now, in that web service, we have one operation. Yes. Okay, you'll have a method. It's a dummy method, I can say. But for each operation which is defined in that web service, you'll have a method here. Now you see, what we'll do is a client application will call that method which is in the stub, which represents that operation, web service operation. So let's call that method which is defined in the stub. Now you see, for the dollar to rupee also, we have a method here. But you see, that method, what input it takes? It takes this input, dollar to rupee response, and that method returns dollar to rupee response object. That is what you'll notice here. Okay, yes. You see, first of all, you need to create a dollar to rupee object. So we got a class called as dollar to rupee class. Where is this class defined? Can you people tell me where exactly this class is defined? Yes. Yes. Where is this class defined? Dollar to rupee. Just check that package details. Yes, basically it in the stub class. It is part of the subclass. It is inner class in the stub. Okay. Yes. Okay. So now you see in that now in this object we'll have a variable. What is it? Sorry. In the dollar to rupee object we got a property or a variable, I can say number of dollars. Number of dollars. Number of dollars. I'm passing 1 to 3 as number of dollars. Now you see this object. Now it's an input object for that operation or method now. So current converter stub dot. I'll call that method. What is that method name? Dollar to rupee. That method name is dollar to rupee, and to that method I'll pass the dollar to rupee object. That's it. Sorry. This method throws an exception, remote exception. So now you see that method dollar to rupee, it returns a dollar to rupee response object now. Dollar to rupee response object. Yes. In the dollar to rupee response object, we'll have that rupees. Let's see. Dollar to rupee response dot get written. Call this method get written. Yes. Okay. So let's run this code. See, for that variable return, as I told you people, using the dollar to rupee response class, we got this variable return, and that variable return value is, it can be read by the get return method. So even this class, dollar to rupee class, it is part of that stub. It is part of that stub, I can say. Even this class, it is part of your stub. Yes. So let's run this code. Now you see what happens when we call that method dollar to rupee. You see, you're calling the method on the stub. Now what exactly the stub does internally? When you call that stub method, it will take this method call from that application, and then you see it constructs SOAP request. It will read that information, constructs SOAP request, constructs HTTP request, and it will wrap that SOAP request with HTTP request, and it will connect to the service where you have that. Where it will connect to the server where you have that web service, and will send the request. Gets the response. It will get a SOAP response. It transforms it into Java object again, and returns that object reference here straight away. So that is what happens internally. Okay. Yes. Let's run this code. You see, you got the response. Yes. Yeah. So any questions in this regard? Okay, good. So hope you people got it. So this way you see we can develop a web service and we can consume a web service. But still you need to better understand that WSDL. And one more thing, you know what? As of now we have developed a web service and we are consuming it. What if someone else has developed a web service and we have to consume that web service? So how will you understand that? That means you won't know like how that web service is implemented, or even which language was used to develop that web service. You won't know, so you don't know that. You only will be given, uh, let's say, a WSDL document. Based on that, you need to consume that service. Then what you will do? So such things I'll talk about it in the next class. Okay. So tomorrow, so we'll meet at same time, and in that class I'll be talking about all this stuff. So we'll see. We'll take a WSDL document, which is developed already developed. We don't know how it is implemented. We'll try to understand the operations which we got in that service and how to consume them without knowing the implementation part. We'll just consume. Okay, that is what we'll try to do. And I'll show you complex types. Like you see, as of now, that input and output types are very simple types. If you got complex types, then how you will deal with it. So all such things will do it. And if yes, it is also possible. I'll show you people the SOAP messages. The SOAP messages which are generated by the client and server service, how they look like. We'll see. We'll intercept that SOAP requests. Okay, and we'll see them. So these are all the things we'll discuss in the next class. So I'll show you people SOAP protocols. Yeah. Okay then, that's all for today. Thank you. Bye bye.